everyone. Welcome into another episode of the East Alabama Works video podcast series. I'm Carl Brady, Program Manager for East Alabama Works, your workforce development partner for Region 2 in the state of Alabama. We work daily with business and industry throughout the region, learning what their workforce needs are, and then spreading that information back into the community by whatever means necessary to get the word out there and to get people working, get people trained, get people educated to be in the workforce and be an active part of the workforce. And today I have a special guest on the podcast with me. It is Mike Oatridge of the Strategic Workforce Solutions. And Mike, thank you so much for taking time to be with us this morning.
Oh, thanks so much. Really glad to be here, and thanks for inviting me.
Well, I want to talk with you about this new thing you're involved with that includes the World Games. Everybody knows that the World Games is coming to Birmingham. It starts on July the 7th and runs through the 17th. And I'm hearing names like Lionel Richie for the closing segment of the closing ceremonies and stuff like that. And I know the whole of Birmingham, the whole of Jefferson County, and the whole state of Alabama is involved in the World Games. It's a big deal, and you are heading up what's being called the Alabama Experience that will be a part of the World Games, because we're going to have visitors from all over the world, and we want them to know about all the great things going on in Alabama, especially in workforce and living here and the amenities of living here and those kind of things. So just give us a quick overview of the Alabama Experience, and then we'll dig into some of the details. How about that?
Sure. As you said, we're really excited with the World Games coming here starting on July the 7th. It offers a great opportunity to the state of Alabama to showcase all that we have to offer. So in particular, we're going to have about 500,000 people coming into the state watching the games. We'll have participants from over 100 different countries. So we have a unique experience to really show what Alabama has to offer and show it as a great place to work, live, and enjoy a really great life. So from that idea came the Alabama Experience. And the Alabama Experience isn't really a job fair. I don't think anybody's coming to the World Games to look for a job.
Right.
But I think what's going to end up happening is, as somebody travels through the experience at the World Games, they're going to get a touch and a feel about what types of careers are available in the state, what those salaries pay. But then we'll transform a little bit further and we'll show what education opportunities are available in the state, how they can be paid for by private industry or public partnerships. And we can also then show them the differences of what it's like to live in this state or a particular city in this state compared to some of the other cities where we tend to lose people to, by showing cost of living, by showing the amenities that are available to people that live in the state that they just don't have access to in a lot of other states.
Mm-hmm. And you have a unique perspective on this experience as well, because you're a transplant. Tell us a little bit about your personal history there. You were transplanted to Alabama and loved it enough to stay.
Yeah, I'm very happy I ended up staying. In 1999, I was asked to move to the state of Alabama, and very honestly, I probably, if I had a choice, I probably wouldn't have come, purely because I was ignorant. I just didn't understand what the state had to offer, what a great place this is to live, work, and really bring up a family. And so what we're doing is and I hear that story all the time. I hear people say, I didn't know. That's the biggest thing. I just didn't know that the state had all this to offer. Didn't know that the beach was 4 hours away. Didn't know that there was, world-class, IndyCar racing, for example, or balloon festivals. Some of the best restaurants in the world are here. And you just don't know until you're here. I hear it from employers all the time. If I can get somebody into the state, then I can hire them. But if I can't get them in the state, then they don't want to come. So again, with the World Games attracting so many people into the state, we saw this as a fantastic opportunity to be able to do that. I got to tell you, this wasn't the first time we've done this. So when I was my previous job, I was senior vice president of the Honda facility there in Lincoln, close to where you are.
Mhm.
And we used the Honda Indy as a recruiting event then, where
Yeah.
we provided some entertainment, whether that be build a car live on stage or do certain activities to understand what it's like to get a career in automotive. This is going to provide the same type of idea on a much higher level, really showcasing the innovation in the state by getting, when the people come in the door, they will be, shocked with the displays. We're going to have robots playing korfball. We're going to have motion capture suits, which will show people doing particular sports being displayed on a large screen. But instead of seeing the person on a large screen, you'll see their innards, so their skeleton and their cardiovascular system. So you start to understand in doing sport what type of medical fields there are in the state. Of course, there's a great medical community here in the state. So by focusing on advanced manufacturing, information technology, and health sciences jobs, we are going to be affecting about 40% of the unfilled jobs in the state, and really focusing on the salaries that are available to people, but then showing people what that value can be in the state. So of course, our cost of living is phenomenal. Our cost of housing is phenomenal. And when you see a side-by-side comparison between, for example, here in Nashville or here in New York City, people start to understand what it is that they're really trying to accomplish in getting a job, which is a lifestyle. And we're going to hopefully be able to really showcase that lifestyle that we have all come accustomed to that live in this state. And as we said earlier, it's hard to get people to come to the state, but then you got most people like me who, once you get here, you never leave.
You never want to leave. That's right. It seems odd to me being a native. We do take things for granted, those of us who live here and see all the amazing things we have every day. But it still amazes me that there are parts of the country and parts of the world, when they hear the word Alabama, they immediately think barefoot, trailer parks, and that's all they see in their mind's eye. But we're at the forefront of space and rocketry and Huntsville and engineering, and we're building airplanes and ships in Mobile and things all over the state that are being produced. We're one of the leading car manufacturers in the country now, and so it's important to get people to see all those things. And then the new generation of workers, they're looking for more than a job. Our dads and our grandparents, the job was the only thing that mattered, working that 40, 60, 80 hours a week and bringing home the paycheck. But the new generation of folks, their leisure time is more important than their work time. So we've got to show them what great downtowns we have and what great cultural opportunities we have, and places where you can go hiking in the mountains or go to the beach or go fishing on the lake, and all of those kind of amenities that we have here in Alabama.
You're absolutely right, and I think that's the key point. I'll use the example of when I came down. We started up the plant in Alabama. We had originally 1,200 jobs that we were trying to fill, and I think we got around 60,000 applications or something crazy like that. Mm-hmm. And that was because that was the old school, right? You put up a help wanted sign, more people applied than you could possibly ever hire, and you picked the best of the best and you hired them. Probably on your way to work, on my way to work this morning, we passed 100 help wanted signs because everybody's having a hard time hiring people right now. So we can't just put up a help wanted sign anymore. It won't work. You have to put up a help wanted sign, but you have to explain to them what the state is like. And I think you said it perfectly. I think people that live in this state take a lot for granted about how beautiful it is, how clean it is, how pristine it is. And by doing this project, even though I've lived here for about 25 years, I'm finding out, we have the highest per capita waterfalls in the States. I had no idea that existed. I didn't know that there was big kayaking areas that people come from all over the country to come and see. I mean, I was aware of like the beach and those kind of things, but there is so much this state has to offer that as we expose people to this, I'm really hoping that they'll be able to experience it at the World Games. But because the World Games event will also be captured on a website, which will go live on July the 7th, people will be able to experience what type of jobs there are, what type of education's available, and probably most importantly, what your life would look like if you decided to get a job in Alabama. So that'll be very far reaching. And I hope that'll really start changing that image that you referred to earlier, where, sometimes people misconceive what it's like to live in Alabama. They're thinking, Alabama is different than the rest of the states, and it is different, but it's different in a very, very good way.
In a good way. That's right. And I think that's going to be the key to some of our workforce issues is recruiting from outside the state of Alabama, because I was analyzing some of the unemployment numbers, record low unemployment at 2.8% here in the state. But if you look at the number of people who are participating in the workforce, the participation rate, the number of people who are actively employed and looking for jobs, those numbers are actually higher than pre-pandemic. We have more people actively working, more people actively seeking work, and yet we still don't have enough people to fill all the jobs. So recruitment from outside of the area is going to be a key to getting those jobs filled.
Yeah, and I always say that I'm tooting other people's horns here, but it's true. When I moved to the state back in 1999, there was a huge undertaking by the state and by private industry, economic development, Department of Commerce, to really recruit companies into the state. Because at that point, there was more people than there were jobs. Mm-hmm. And I really think they've done such a great job. If you think about all of the new industry that has come into this state in the last 15 years, then you start to understand why we're having a workforce shortage. We sold the state to corporations because of the transportation, the availability of resources, the availability of utilities, the availability of everything that makes it easy to start up a company. And we outpaced ourselves on workforce. And now we need to put as much effort into workforce as we did into recruiting new businesses. But I have no doubt that that's going to be successful because of the history of this state, where private and public work together to solve a problem. Once we understand the problem, we can fix it. And I think through the Alabama Workforce Council, through the workforce regions, through private entities trying to improve workforce availability issues, I have no doubt that we'll solve this problem.
Well, let's get back into the Alabama experience and that in the attempt to recruit some folks through the World Games. What exactly is it going to be? You mentioned robots, you mentioned the motion capture and all of those things, but I have seen your presentation and we've talked about this before. So I see the big giant tent and I see people walking to all these different areas, and you guys have gone really high tech with this as well. So talk about the experience and what that's going to be like for people who visit.
Sure. As I said, I don't think anybody's coming to the World Games to get a job, but hopefully once they leave, they'll say, hey, I want to get a job in Alabama. Mm-hmm. That's the goal. And to do that, what we've done is we've created an event space, and it's fairly large. It's about the size of a third of a football field, where on the way in, you'll be greeted by somebody and you'll be given a nice souvenir. The souvenir will be a lanyard, and attached to that lanyard, kind of like 3D glasses when you go to a ride at Disney World or something, will be clipped on the bottom of that, will be an RFID tag. We'll ask people for permission for their information, and we'll only ask for their name, their telephone number, and their zip code. And when you enter the event space, the very first things you're going to see is a couple really cool, I call them sparklers. And those sparklers are things that capture people's imagination. So there'll be an industrial robot that will be playing korfball, one of the major events at the World Games. Kind of similar to basketball meets Frisbee football. There's no dribbling, so there's only passing, and then there's only shooting at the hoop. Of course, the robot will always win because robots tend not to make as many mistakes as us when we're playing sports. And basically, people will be able to interact with that robot and really challenge it to a game of korfball. On the other stage will be a motion capture suit. And the motion capture suit will have athletes wearing motion capture suits. And the motion capture suit will then present a avatar on a large 16:9 screen. Kind of like if you're kids or you know somebody who plays Fortnite, you can put any skin you want on top of that avatar. And the skin that we're going to use is going to be the cardiovascular system and the skeleton system of a person. The idea is, of course, there's going to be a lot of people interested in the IT side of that, of how we're capturing that information. It relates to gameplay, it relates to a lot of IT issues, but also we're going to be able to see what's going on inside the body of an athlete. So from a medical point of view, you're going to get your interest piqued as well. As far as one more interaction,
and that motion capture is used extensively now in the motion picture and film industry, which is growing in Alabama and is being promoted in Alabama as well.
Exactly. And actually, one of the people that we hired to do that is a recent graduate from our UAH program that is in animation and gameplay. So really cool stuff. In addition to that, we're going to have VR headsets. So we've partnered with a company called Transfer VR, and Transfer VR will be allowing participants to put on their headsets and to experience industrial settings such as a paint robot in an automotive setting. But also they'll be looking at some medical issues such as bloodborne pathogens, how to deal with them through a 3D environment. The idea is, while all this is going on and you're kind of interacting, you're playing with industrial robots and you're looking at, motion capture suits or VR or the medical side of it, on a large 48-foot by 9 screen, there will be images of medical jobs in the state, IT jobs in the states, and advanced manufacturing jobs in the state. So hopefully people start to make the connection that, hey, robots are kind of cool. And I didn't know that you use robots to build cars in the state. Maybe I'd be interested in that. And in front, surrounding this entire area, will be some kiosks. And we're just going to ask everybody, excuse me, 3 simple questions. Did you think the robots were cool? Did you think the IT was cool? Or did you think healthcare was cool? And they pick one of those. And this first thing I'll just say, they thought the robot was cool. Then we'll say, did you know we build cars, airplanes, and chemicals in the States using robots? And of course, which one of those interests you? And maybe they say cars. And then they'll say, do you know there's production jobs, technician jobs, and engineering jobs available in the state of Alabama? And which one of those are you interested in? If they pick production, immediately, all of the jobs available in the state, all the open jobs in the state, and the average salary will be shown. And the average salary of that job is about a little over $50,000 a year. Most people will be blown away at this point. First of all, there's that many open jobs and I can make how much money kind of feel to it. But we'll also show them that if you get a 2-year degree, you can make maybe $10,000 more. If you get a 4-year degree, maybe you can make more than that. And it'll prompt them to go and see an area in the booths called education. And the very first thing is when they come up and they scan that RFID tag, it'll remember everything that they saw at the previous event space. And it'll show them a very quick video about what it would be like to go to college in Alabama. It'll have nothing to do with learning. It'll be all fun stuff. It'll be, playing Frisbee football at the quad. It'll be football games. It'll be all that kind of fun stuff that you really enjoy while you're in college. Then it'll go through, based off of the selections you made, what colleges are available, especially the 2-year colleges. ACCS is a huge sponsor of ours, but also the 4-year colleges. And then it'll explain that in a lot of cases that financial aid is available. But not only is it available, we'll show the percentage of people that receive financial aid at the institutions, which is very high. And I had no idea. But hopefully, by showing that to people, they'll say, well, if somebody else can do it, I can do it too. We'll go into the next area, which will be lifestyle. And lifestyle will show a comparison between 2 cities. So for example, Birmingham and Atlanta. So if you make $50,000 at a production job in an automotive field in Alabama and Birmingham area, to have the exact same lifestyle, if you were to live in Atlanta, you'd have to make $15,000-$20,000 more to have
Right.
the same quality of life. So a lot of people say, well, I can go to Atlanta and you're going to pay me 50, but I'll make 70 over there. But that 70 won't go as far as your 50 does here in the state. And then we'll explain why in housing, in healthcare costs, in entertainment, and all those kind of things, what's available in the state, and really showcase, along with give them some tidbits about what's going on. So, if we had this a week ago, we would have shown the Garth Brooks concerts coming to town. There's all this fun stuff to do in the state.
Yeah.
And then finally, the screen will come up and says, these companies are interested in talking to you if you're interested in talking to them. And maybe Honda or Mercedes-Benz will show up. And if they're interested, they just pick up their cell phone, and on the screen, they'll scan a 2D barcode and it'll say, hi, whatever name you registered with. Do you want to change any of this information before we send it to these sponsors who are interested in hiring you? And you fill out a little form and away you go. After you leave the event space, before I say that, I should say there is a lot of other interactive stuff. There's really cool videos showcasing all the things we talked about, how beautiful the state is, how many hiking trails and those kind of things. And as you exit this space, we go from very high tech to very low tech, because I believe that's why people stay in the state. Yes, it's a great place to live. Yes, we have beaches and we got mountains and we got waterfalls and we got hiking trails. We have all that. But the reason that we all stay in the state is because of the people.
Yeah.
So on the way out, we're going to move it to low tech, where we'll have people just with the big, friendly, happy face, extending a shaking hand saying, hey, do you want to know anything about the state? And we'll have that set up by the 7 workforce regions, allowing people to experience that Southern hospitality that we've all come to know and love, and really is the reason that we can enjoy the state, is because it's such an open and really loving place to bring up a family.
Absolutely. Sounds like a great plan. Where is it going to be located? I know that a lot of different areas of Birmingham are going to be utilized for the World Games. So where is the Alabama experience going to be set up?
You're right. The World Games are actually spread across the Jefferson region and a little bit outside the Jefferson region, from Oakland State Park all the way over to, the many locations. There's so many I can't even list.
Yeah.
The Alex will be in the Regions World Games Plaza. The Regions World Games Plaza is no ticket is required, and it will be in the new City Walk area of Birmingham. So kind of right where Sheridan Hotel is, or uptown, that entire area will be cordoned off. It will be foot traffic only. There'll be other event spaces going on there. For example, Microsoft has a space there that will be celebrating the 15 HBCUs in the state. There will be cultural exhibits going on there as well about different cultures that are represented at the World Games from many different countries. And there'll be free concerts. There's 3 free concerts that are slated to be in that area right now. So it's kind of going to be the open area, the kind of hangout area in between events. So we're located kind of very, very, very close to Protective Stadium, close to the Sheridan Ballroom, BJCC, Legacy Arena, Belt Royal Arena are all surrounding this space. So before or after somebody comes to an event to watch the games, they can wander through this space and come and experience all that we have to offer. Kind of as an added bonus, it is July in Alabama. So our, 12,000 square foot tent will be air conditioned. So I'm sure people are coming through just for the air conditioning.
That's right. That's right. Well, that's good news, because, that is one thing that you have to worry with in Alabama in the summertime is it's going to be hot.
Yep. Very much.
A lot of folks coming from other parts of the world will experience heat and humidity for the first time in their life, for real.
Sure enough.
Well, it sounds like a whole lot of fun. And tell us a little bit about the team behind all this. Who gets the credit for some of this stuff? Because this sounds like a massive undertaking. Lots of money, lots of planning, lots of people working together and collaborating on this.
Yeah, and I'll apologize now if I leave anybody out, but there's been a fantastic team working on this. Believe it or not, this all came about within a year. So this idea was first hatched here at EDPA, where I'm interviewing from today. It was the Economic Development Partnership of Alabama. We then started to develop the plans for this. We work with the Department of Commerce. We work with the Alabama Community College System. We work with companies like Alabama Power, Shipped, Honda, Mercedes-Benz, AdTran. I can go on and on and on. Very honestly, everyone has this workforce need, and they saw this as an innovative way of trying to solve the workforce needs we have in the state. So we have a great group of people. The software is being developed here in the state. Just down the street is a company called Atlas RFID Solutions. The robot is being provided by AIDT, and they're working on all of that to do that. Transfer VR, who is working, of course, with all the workforce development groups already, is providing their resources to put this on as well. There are about 8 films that I didn't even mention till now that are very high quality films that will showcase the state, trying to make the experience while you're in the tent. I think my wife coined this, but she calls it the Epcot Center of Workforce Development. So it's kind of really high tech, really entertaining, and those films are all being produced here in the state as well by 22 Day Films. And then Cayenne Agencies are our group that's working on it from a marketing point of view. Alabama Power is providing a lot of resources to make sure that happens and make sure everything happens on schedule. So it's really not one person. It is a lot of people. But probably most important, it is governmental agencies and private industry working together with a very clear goal in mind to try and solve a problem that we have. And I think that's why this is going to be so successful, is when we really grab all of these groups together and we say, hey, we've got this problem. How do we solve it? I think that's when we get the best output from everybody who's involved. So I'm really proud of the team that's been working on this. It's kind of astounding what's been accomplished in just one year. And really hope that this then will provide a foundation for us to take Alex on a traveling roadshow. So we plan to introduce Alex concept in the 6 regions that aren't Birmingham. So Birmingham, of course, is Central 6 region. So the World Games, we'll provide Alex during the World Games. And then our idea is that we will have events at each of the 6 remaining workforce regions to ensure that this concept is spread evenly across the state. And it's not just one particular area of the state. The World Games really provided the venue that allowed us to get the resources to put this on. But we've been very cognizant in trying to make sure that while we're developing this, we're developing it with a long term in mind so that we can really affect change across the state.
Not just going to be a one and done event, something that can be replicated around the state. Yeah, awesome. Well, Mike, we're nearing the end of our time together here. Any final thoughts? Anything that we didn't talk about that you'd like to mention?
No, I think we've covered it all fairly well. I think, again, that the state has a unique opportunity with the World Games. I think the World Games itself will do a lot towards workforce development because people will come into the state and see what a great place this is. I just think this is maybe the cherry on top of the icing on the cake, where people then can come through and experience what it is to really live here and hopefully start to affect some big change in the perception that people have about the state and as a place to start a career.
Absolutely. Well, Mike, thank you so much for your time with us today. And I'm sure we'll be seeing you around, Alex, in our Region 2 booth there at some point. So that is at the World Games in Birmingham, July 7th through the 17th. Be looking for the Alabama Experience, or better known as Alex, at the World Games. So, Mike, thank you for being with us today, man.
Thank you.
And folks, thank you for joining us for the East Alabama Works video podcast. We'll see you next time.